Hello, everyone.
Hey guys, welcome as you slowly stream into the room. Jung, welcome from Vietnam, Xin Chào. I am also in Vietnam myself.
And
Jacqueline,
I am
uh-huh.
in Shanghai here with you.
Thank you for joining us, everybody, as we slowly but surely fill up the room. Again, I'll just fill the silence with some small talk. I'd love to know from you guys a dream destination to visit. You've got one ticket to anywhere. Where is that plane flying to? Okay, so feel free, let me know in the chat, not where you're from, but where you would go. We've got Van Harve, Tokyo, Tibet. Okay, want to do a bit of trekking in Tibet. How interesting. Thank you, Krill. And welcome back, Krill. We've seen you in a few sessions over the past week and a half. Switzerland, Australia, says David. I have been to Australia. It's beautiful, David, but it's very big. So make sure you take those trekking shoes. Burgundy, Fiji, Vietnam, Jung. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of Vietnam to cover, isn't there? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, guys. Let me know a dream destination that you would like to visit. We'll get the session started in about 120 seconds. But let me know in the meantime where you would like to visit. Ernesto, who I guess is in Barcelona, says Ho Chi Minh City, and that is currently where I reside. Thailand, hello from Thailand. Philippines, I've never been to the Philippines, but it is certainly one of the top countries on my list. How about you, Super? You've got a ticket. Where will you go?
Iceland?
Okay, why?
Yeah, because I've been there once, but not in the winter. I really want to, visit there again when it's like an Iceland, like as the name indicates. So that's one of my, yeah.
Yeah, it can get
And what about
pretty
you?
cold in Iceland.
Yeah.
For me, it'd probably be Argentina would be top of my list. Followed
Ah,
by the Philippines, I think. But I'd love to visit Argentina. So once again, guys, thank you for joining us today. Again, you're slowly coming into the room. We'll get the session started in about 1 minute. And today is the third and final session of our seasonal webinars. Hopefully you were there for Super Session on Tuesday and my session a week ago now. Time does fly. But today will be myself and Super's boss. Del Spafford, and Del will be talking us through a lesson plan masterclass. So I'll get further details about that in a moment. But in the meantime, just again, make sure those fingers are working, get typing away in the chat, because as ever, we will hope and wish for your participation in today's session. Okay, so I will take that moment to share my screen. Just give me a yes in the chat. Make sure that you can all see it. One thing about Zoom is just managing all these different boxes. So I can see myself and the screen itself, but also the chat as well. So hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Cultivating Curiosity, our third and final session, which looks at innovative approaches to language teaching and your personal professional development. Hello, Rosnita from Indonesia. And what I would like to start with is, again, a little bit of housekeeping for what you guys can look forward to in the year of 2024. And you'll see a number of familiar things and things we have covered and some popular series within Macmillan Education. Our seasonal webinars, of course, which, like I say, myself and Super have delivered within the last week. You will also see our ELT times there and ELT time pluses, where we really delve into topical issues at the heartbeat of what is currently trending, I guess, in the world of ELT. And we have a few new ideas for this year. Of course, today you are joining us for Del's Lesson Plan Masterclass, and there's going to be a number of these throughout the year. And finally, we have ELT Unplugged, which will be our debate series, where actually we were looking for a number of volunteers, a number of different people maybe, with differing viewpoints. So we can spend 45 minutes, an hour, discussing, debating, and sharing our opinions about all the hot topics in the world of ELT. So you've got a lot to look forward to in what is this new year of 2024. And of course, do not forget to follow us on our social media channels, whether that be Facebook at Macmillan Education Asia, Or if you are in the land of China, of course, take a shot and a scan of that QR code, and you can always catch us on WeChat. And of course, if you'd like to get in touch about any products, do not hesitate to contact your local team, wherever you are. So that brings us to today, doesn't it? Del will be here, kind of. Okay, and I use those inverted commas because Del has actually recorded this session. So how it will work is myself and Super will be watching along with you to a pre-recorded video from Del Spafford himself, where he'll be talking you through a lesson and how to piece that lesson together and almost produce a step-by-step guide of what a lesson plan for this particular lesson would look like. As mentioned, myself and Super at certain increments and times will be pausing the video and we'll be asking you certain questions that Del might propose to you. Okay, so yes, Rosnita, I thought it would be live. It really doesn't make a big difference because we are here live with you right now. And trust me, Del has done a very thorough job in making sure we are queued up with when to pause the content in the video and to ask you questions in the chat. So do not fear.
Yeah, and we will
So
be
that's it from me.
Yeah, we will be in charge of the interactions with you and discussing so the questions and coming up with ideas together with you about how to plan a lesson on vocabulary, right? So let me get Del on the stage, okay? Can see Del, okay?
Yes, all good my end.
Okay, so let's now get started with our lesson plan masterclass.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this first ever Macmillan Education Masterclass. Thank you for the introduction, Blue and Super, and stick around to ask the questions to our lovely participants. Thank you all for coming. As Blue or Super said, I can't be with you today, but I'm hoping that this recording will suffice in terms of me being able to give you some ideas and help and support when it comes to planning a vocabulary lesson. We are using Academy Stars second edition, but a lot of these techniques can be used for many other different lessons and ages and certainly at different levels as well. So stick around, even if you're not teaching primary or you're not using Academy Stars, that's not going to matter too much. So what I'll do first of all is I'll show you the lesson that I'm going to be teaching. This, as I said, is from Academy Stars and it's from level 3. So let me just pull this up. So here is the student's book. It's over 2 pages because we have this beautiful unit opener on the first page, which gives students an example of the vocabulary that they're going to be introduced to more explicitly in context. So today's lesson is all about sea creatures. So you can see the sea creatures in their natural habitat. And then we move on to actually presenting the vocabulary items that we've chosen. You can see them here. So we'll be doing some drilling around that. And then we do some categorization activities to increase our students' critical thinking skills. And then finally, if we do have time, there's a song to recycle the vocabulary and use it in a fun way. So I'll try and take you through this lesson, giving you some ideas. The main core of the lesson actually will probably be, will be presenting this vocabulary here. All right, and I'm going to use flashcards to do that. I'll give you 3 activities that you can use, and after each activity, Blue and Super will be stopping the video and asking you questions about how you might go about presenting vocabulary and drilling the vocabulary to your students. So as we go through these masterclasses, we're going to be writing the lesson plan. But as this is a recording, it's difficult for me to do that because I'm not getting the instant communication from you. So I've written a lesson plan already. Now I'm going to show you not the whole lesson plan, because I will give that to you at the end. But what I just want to do before we begin is to show you my learning outcomes or my objectives, some anticipated problems, and basically how I go about preparing a lesson when it comes to the actual writing of a lesson plan. All right, sound good? Okay, so here is my lesson plan. And as you can see, it's pretty blank. Well, it isn't really. I've just covered it up because I want you to focus on the areas that I want to focus on. So you will see here that I've got my main information. So obviously the date, the time, standard. Number of students expected. So I've chosen to think about having a class of around about 30 students. And this is somewhere in the middle, I would imagine, of where people are in terms of the number of students that they teach. In fact, can you, in the chat, can you please write down the number of students that, on average, that you teach in your classes?
Yes, as Daryl has suggested. Yeah, let us
All
know
right, so obviously I can't comment on what you've written,
how
but I would classify.
yeah, how many students you usually teach in your classroom.
Okay, we've got a mixed number there, which is as expected, depending on, well, 1,825. That's more than I was expecting. 10 to 15, Vul, nice and intimate. Betty with 15, but yeah, Chuck the email, we've got 44 there, 30 plus. So some of you are on the larger size. So bear in mind, yes, Dell, when he walks through this lesson plan, it's created for a lesson of 30. But with all his plans, intentions, and activities, they are bespoke and they can be tailored according to size of class, number of students. So again, bear that in mind when it comes to the amount of students you have and how you might tailor accordingly.
Yep, let's continue.
By a large classes being that above 30. I was very lucky in my teaching career that I didn't have to teach super large classes of above 50, which some people had to do, particularly in government schools. Optimum size of a class would be around 16 for me. I like an even number as well. And I've put the grade as grade 3. Now, I've just done that from the age of the learners. And the reason I've done that and not specified pre-intermediate or intermediate, elementary, these common indicators that we use in EFL or ELT, I've just put grade 3 because we all, and from our feedback that we receive from teachers across Asia, we all have diverse classes. No class has the same level of students, regardless of even if they're streamed by their abilities, there's still going to be a diverse mix of abilities in those classrooms and a diverse interest of the students and diverse in terms of the resources that students will have available to them. So grade 3 is what I've come up with. So, and that actually makes me think more about how I might need to differentiate some of the materials, or at least provide opportunities for stronger students to thrive. Now, with every lesson, I'm thinking about planning it in terms of my students. So you'll see my objectives now. I'll let you read that for a moment. Now, objectives should always be written from the point of view of the learners. Okay, so you can see here at the end of the lesson, the learners will have I'm not writing down what I'm teaching, I'm writing down what I expect the learners to be able to do at the end of the lesson. And this is very important. So whenever you're writing a lesson plan, please think about what your students are going to do or where you want them to be at the end of the lesson, not what you're going to teach. So an opposite example of this would be lesson objectives to teach 10 vocabulary items around the topic of sea life. Okay, that's an objective, that's an aim, but it's not very smart in terms of how I would measure that at the end of the lesson. And then, very importantly, I've already thought about what my students are going to have challenges with. So this anticipated problems and solutions is a really good thing to include in your lesson plan. The reason being is that you're predicting what's going to happen in the lesson. You're thinking ahead. You're reflecting beforehand on your level of your students, what they can do, what they can't do, and then actually coming up with a lesson plan that will meet those needs, whilst also being able to, as I said, anticipate any issues that your learners might have in this class. So I'll give you a little second just to read that. The pronunciation might be very much relevant to the region or the country that I teach in. Certainly in Thailand, this is a very common problem that students have with the consonant clusters. They will put a vowel in. So starfish would become satarfish. School becomes sakul. These consonant clusters are sometimes a challenge. So that's why I've written them in there. As you become more experienced as a teacher, you might all just have these in the back of your mind, and you might just deal with them as you would do and feel like you don't need to write them down. But it's good practice, I think, to keep a record of those anticipated problems. You also might have specific students that you might want to focus on as well, who may need some support and help in certain areas in your lesson, and you can write those in there. And then finally, these are the stages of my lesson, or the areas, sorry, of my lesson plan that I'm focusing on. So obviously the stage, you'll have different stages, obviously, through the lesson. I haven't written any names for them. I'm just numbering them, but it helps me go through them and tick them off as I've finished each stage. The time is obviously important. You need to be concerned about how much time you're spending on activities. Also, I like to think about the activity from two strands: what I'm doing during the activity and what the students are doing during the activity. And I'll write these down on my plan. The reason why I'm doing it, so I'm linking this to the main objectives, and then the materials that I need so that I don't have to go out of the class to pick up my flashcards or to get anything that I require for the lesson. This is very unprofessional if you're leaving the students on their own in the classroom. So that's my lesson plan. And as I said, I will show you the whole lesson plan with it filled in for the activities. And I'll give that to you at the end of this lesson. So let's go now to our student book again. So as I said, we've got this first activity, which is a unit opener, beautiful image that students could really engage with. What I might do actually before this is actually maybe even play some music, not music, sorry, play some sounds from a YouTube clip of what it sounds like underneath the sea or under the sea. And with this, I can then do a visualization activity. I get the students to close their eyes and think about where they are and think about the things that they can see. And I'll ask them guiding questions as I go through. And then similarly, when they see the image, so now we'll open our books, we'll look at the picture, and we will do a visible thinking routine, a VTR. And I'm going to use a very simple, in fact, anybody who's watched our webinars before, or the ELT times last year, will have been introduced to visible thinking routines from Blue, who presented these during a ELT time that we did on using images. But I think it's a really cool and very easy for students to navigate is see, think, and wonder. So a beautiful unit opener. I'm going to ask the students, what can you see? What do you think? And what do you wonder? And I'm going to stage it. I'm going to ask them straight away, what can you see? And the students would tell me the animals that they can see. And from this, I may need to ask them guiding questions, such as, can you see any animals that are swimming together? What are they? Can you see different colors? Can you see different shapes? And I'm asking all these questions to guide them through. And then similarly with the think, I'll be asking questions about what the students can actually, what they think about. And I've got all this written on my lesson plan. So I might ask questions such as, what do you think these animals are doing? Are they looking for food? Are they playing? Are they feeding? Are they resting? What do you think these plants and animals, why do you think these plants and animals live in the water? What makes it a good home for them? And then finally, and there's many, many more think questions. And then finally, we'll go on to wonder. And I might ask the students, do you have any questions about this underwater world? Is there anything that you're curious about? How do you think the animals are feeling in this underwater world? Do you wonder if the animals are actually friends? Are they scared of each other? Are you curious about how deep the ocean is and how different animals live in different depths of the ocean? So all these questions I can guide my students through and do a see, think, wonder activity. So I'm going to stop talking for a second, and I'm going to ask you now to tell me, when you have a unit opener like this, a nice, beautiful image, what kind of activities do you do to help your students navigate the image? Okay, so we've had a...
Yes. So in the chat, feel free to let us know your thoughts about using images at the beginning of a unit, and also, yeah, guiding your students to know the topic and get them engaged into the discussion. Yeah. Do you have any like activities you usually do, or any type of activities or routines you would like to have at the unit opener stage using beautiful images like this?
Yeah, let us
Blue,
know
do
in
you?
the chat, everyone. Mohammed, good for brainstorming, critical thinking. It certainly is, Mohammed. But I guess the point goes back to, within that brainstorming and critical thinking, how do you deliver that to the students? So in Dell's example there of a VTR, see, think, wonder. Okay, so you get them critically thinking because you get that wondering part. Okay, lots of why questions. Hidden pictures, says Thui. And yeah, what I like about hidden pictures, or even like the spotlight effect, which is easy to find, okay, is just sort of mapping around, not necessarily hidden, but maybe just distorted or not so clear. And students have to guess what they can see depending on how the image has been manipulated. So I like that, hidden pictures or distorted images to guess what else. Rosanita, you've taken a long time to... I also use see, think, wonder slightly differently from Dell. I usually don't ask questions and let learners come up with their own words and ideas. I love that. Again, any kind of student-centered thinking and guiding goes a long way. Mohammed, objective questioning. Definitely. Any way you can play that advocate and look at contradictions, different things, different sides of an argument. But that objective questioning from the students is such a skill. If you can cultivate that at such an early stage, wonderful. What else do we have? Zoom in and zoom out. Yeah, thank you, Quinn. Very similar to maybe a spotlight, but something that allows you to see, come out, back out, in and out, and to have a guess and a prediction. Some nice ideas, guys.
Yes, it's great to see like teachers contributing with different ideas to this lesson planning process. And I think this is all about this like a master class of lesson planning. We contribute ideas together and we bring in different thoughts about how to teach, and then we come up with a good lesson plan. So let's continue with Dell's ideas about his lesson plan, and we can continue input our thoughts and ideas into the chat, and we will come back very soon.
Look at the unit opener, and what we're doing with this, the reason for doing this is to get the students interested and to find out what they already know. So we call this activating schemata, trying to get trying to find out what prior knowledge the students have about the vocabulary, about the context of being underneath the sea. Now, what we're going to do now is move on to our presentation of vocabulary. So as I mentioned, we've got these these 10 words here in Unit 6. And we're going to practice saying these words and we're going to make sure that all our students can say the words correctly. Now, every lesson is planned from the weakest student's point of view, so that I know that all my learners are going to leave the lesson with the knowledge of these words. It's very important that we focus our attention on the weakest learner. By doing so, we can make our lessons equal in terms of what the students are learning. But then we do need to consider the stronger students are going to need to be challenged. But we can't have people left behind. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to use some flashcards, and I'm going to show you 3 activities using these flashcards to help with pronunciation, do some drilling, and mainly get their understanding and the matching of the words to the images as well. So let's get started with the first pronunciation flashcard activity. And I need to stop sharing, and I need to invite you into my home. So give me a moment and I will do that. Okay, welcome to my home. So for this activity, this first presentation activity, I'm going to use an envelope. So I've made up this envelope. This is something that I've used throughout my teaching career, so for a long time, and it always works. It always provides some sense of anticipation among the students, and an element of fun. The students love to see when the envelope comes out to practice vocabulary. They know what they're going to do. They're already primed and are expecting to see some new words, and that they're going to have to say these words, and they're going to have fun saying them as well. So in my envelope, I have my 10 items, and I'm going to very, very slowly show the item to the learners. And I'm going to be getting them to guess what the activity, what the item is. Now, the activity can be a game. You can put the students into teams. You can give them points if they guess correctly, and minus points if they guess incorrectly, to stop them from shouting out too much. They're afraid. You can manage the level of volume in the class by doing this. So what can you see? What is it? Can you guess? There you go. It's a starfish. Okay, starfish. Now remember, I said at my anticipated problems that students might have a tendency in Thailand to say starfish. So I'm going to drill starfish, and I'm going to use a technique that will hopefully help them with intrusive vowels. So first of all, we'll just drill it as it sounds. So starfish, and the students will say starfish. And then we will drill it loudly. So starfish, and the students will say starfish. And then we'll drill it quietly, starfish, starfish. And then we'll drill it long, starfish. And we'll drill it short, starfish. And the reason for drilling it long, it actually helps with that intrusive vowel. By lengthening the word, the students can see that they can't put anything in. So they must say starfish, not startaf. And if they do that, they'll really recognize that they're actually putting the intrusive vowel in and making it sound really strange. And then at the end, we'll drill it as it should be in its correct form, starfish. Starfish. Now we'll drill every single word as they're pulled out of the envelope, and we will now corollary drill. Now corollary drill is everybody together in the whole class, all 30 students, and I'll also put students into groups. Now I can do this by actually just thinking about the way that the room's set out. So the group of students in the corner on the left, furthest away, will be one group. Corner on the left, nearest to me, one group, and they can label them 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can just label your students 1, 2, 3, 4, and when I want the ones to say the word, I'll just say starfish, number 1, and they will repeat back to me, starfish. We can do it like that. It depends how you want to manage your classroom. Then I will, after drilling chorally and drilling in groups, I'm now going to pick out little individual students and get them to say the words, and randomly do this. I'm not going to get all 30 of them, but maybe 4 or 5, and they're all on their toes because nobody knows that they're going to be picked. If I've chosen a student, I might choose that student again for the next word so that they're constantly on their toes, and it's not like, oh, they've had a go, so that's them finished for the drilling. No, you can be drilled many, many different times, depending on the teacher's discretion. So we've done starfish. We keep going. What can you see? What is it? Can you guess? It's a penguin. 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 All right. And so forth and so forth. So I'm going to let you see these words because you need to see them all. There's a dolphin. And in fact, I'll just take them out now because I just want you to recognize the words. All right. But slowly reveal, slowly reveal. If you don't have an envelope and you want to use flashcards, you can do things like this. So just quick flash so that the students can then have a guess as well, so that they're attentive. But you will need probably bigger flashcards. It's an eel. Got a crab, a seahorse, a whale, a jellyfish, and an octopus. All right, so there are your words. So the first activity, slow reveal. Very nice, very good fun, and really make sure that when you are drilling with fun. You're mixing it up. You're not just saying the word and they're repeating it. You can actually have a bit of fun with it and make it lively. So my question to you, if Blue and Super want to conduct this small discussion with you, how do you go about presenting vocabulary for the first time to your students? So I'll give you some time to have a little think about that.
All right, guys.
Present vocabulary for the first time. Yeah, it's usually comes first, right? Presentation of the vocabulary. Short intro video will be a great idea from Kirill. Yeah, welcome for more ideas. Guessing game. Depends on the student level. Yeah, give us more like examples of your students' levels. Through a story reading, use it in a sentence. So matching pictures with words, using visuals. Song with action.
I think going back to what Mohammed said there is very true. Of course, the way you introduce vocabulary will very much be dependent on age and level, whether you're teaching adults as well or young learners, whatever it might be. There's a number of different variables there, of course. But ultimately, what it comes down to is exposure, isn't it? And there's a number of ways to expose students to new words. Some really nice ones here: flashcard games, shadow games. That's a nice one, Catherine. PowerPoints or videos. Even there, I saw it there. I think it might have been Gladys who said it. Words in a sentence. Words need a home. Where's that home? Within context. That context is a sentence. So anything like that. Personally, for me, like what Dell does is fantastic. Any kind of drilling, but you need to make sure it's active engagement drilling. You know, in your class of 30 plus students, you might have some passive participants. Ones that where Dell is saying starfish, and that student in the far corner of the room is going, Okay, so I like accountability, just like Dell. Call students out, have fun with it. But also what I used to do is, for example, you might say boys, starfish, girls, starfish. Ages, you can do ages. Maybe you've got a mixture of ages, 6, 7, 8 in a class. 6-year-olds, starfish. Small people, big people, happy people, hungry people. So all of these things. So now you've got some active engagement for when they respond with your drilling exercise.
Yeah, and I think one teacher mentioned about like using actions. Yeah, TPR could be a very, very good idea for especially young learners. But even for adults, I think sometimes it's quite funny, yeah, to integrate the world with some actions to, yeah, act it out and to link the words to some silly like gestures. It will make the vocabulary more memorable and easy, yeah, to remember for the students and recall when they, yeah, practice with the actions. And the CCQs to check students understanding, yeah, check if they have got the meaning of the words. Yeah, very good. And also use some sound could be really, really good because we're introducing animals here, right? We could always, yeah, play the sound of that animal and ask your students to imitate the sound of that animal could cause a lot of laughters and a lot of fun as well. Yes, very good. And let's move on to the next activity.
All right. Well, I hope you got lots of good ideas and activities from each other there. Let me just change my background. I just realized that it's not correct. All right. So what we're going to do now is the second activity, and I'm moving this now to the whiteboard. You can see in my shared screen, I'm now using a whiteboard. So in the classroom, I've got my whiteboard here very nicely. I need a bit of blue tack, and I'm going to just stick the vocabulary items on the board, just like this. So we've got the jellyfish, and as I put these items up, I might drill again, and have some more fun with it, or I might not do the activity before the slow reveal. I might just do this activity. It depends how much time you want to spend drilling the words and whether you feel your learners will become fatigued with the drilling or whether they enjoy it. It's up to you how you want to do this. I'm going to give you 3 activities. I might do all 3 activities, but I might vary when I do the drilling. But here I'm drilling the words again. Whale, seahorse, dolphin, starfish, shark, and a crab. All right, so I've got these words on the board. In the book, there's a really nice activity where they use before and after. But because I've got some other activities, I'm not going to do the specific one in the book. But they might say penguin, or the teacher might say penguin, and the students would say before eel, after octopus. So you kind of get 2 vocabulary items out of one word, if you like. So dolphin would be before starfish, after seahorse. And then you can do it the other way, where you can go before shark, after dolphin, and the students shout out the word. So this is something that they want to do in the book, but as I said, I'm going to do something different. Now, what I'm going to do, I've drilled all these words, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of the words. In fact, I'm going to remove all of the words. So now we will drill again. Jellyfish, octopus, penguin, eel, whale, seahorse, dolphin, starfish, shark, and crab. Correct. Okay, so we've drilled it again. The students can't see the word crab, but they can remember that. Then we remove the next one, remove the shark. So we do the same thing. Jellyfish, octopus, penguin, eel, whale, seahorse, dolphin, starfish, shark, and crab. All right, and so on and so forth until we get to the end. So this one, jellyfish, eel, seahorse, dolphin, starfish, shark, crab. Okay, and so on and so forth until we get to the end when all of the words are covered up, but the students can still say the words. Now, they will be able to do this. I've done this many times, and students have got really good short-term memories. And there's 30 of them. So they're helping each other all at the same time. If you're not sure what the word is, you keep quiet, right? And the others will help you. But what it does at the end of it, when they can say every single word without actually seeing any of the words, it creates a really great sense of achievement. And the students love to feel that way. Of course, it's great. They feel like, wow, I can say all these words and I can't even see them. Vocabulary is easy. Obviously, we know that retention of the vocabulary is what's important. And although they can retain the words in this short term, the idea is that they'll retain the words in the long term. So we still need to do lots more recycling of the vocabulary. The other activity I wanted to show you using the flashcards, the third activity, is what we call an omit drill. All right, so I'm going to invite you back into my house again. Give me a second. So I've got my vocabulary items, my flashcards here. And what I'm going to do after they've drilled them all is I'm going to now quickly drill them all again, go through them. Whoops, I've got them upside down. I'm looking at the back of them. And actually a good thing that you can do when you are drilling like this is to write in pencil very lightly on the back what the actual word is, so that you're not constantly looking like this. Well, oh, it's a penguin. I can see it on the screen, of course, but when you're teaching, it's more of a challenge. Anyway, so I'm going to drill all the words again, and now I'm going to put the words, and as I have my nice envelope, I'm going to shuffle the words. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And I'm going to take one of the words out. All right, just one. And I'm going to put it in my envelope. Don't look. No peeking. Put it in my envelope. And what I'm going to do now is show you the words. And we're going to drill them again. And you're going to tell me which word is in my envelope. Eel, crab eel, shark, dolphin, penguin, starfish, octopus, jellyfish, whale. Oops, I've just dropped one. And crab. So which one is in my envelope? Can you tell me?
Have you paid attention? Which one is in the envelope? Yeah, out of the 10 words, 10 animals. Blue, have you got it? Oh.
Well, I have now because I've stolen Nimala's answer. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we've got a number of different varied answers there. Crab, shark, starfish.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, Dell didn't present one of the flashcard words there because it was in his envelope. So which one was omitted? Which one did you not hear? Penguin, says Gladys. Seahorse, starfish. Okay, shall we have the reveal?
Yeah, the answer is...
That's correct. It is the seahorse. Very well done. Now, this is a great activity. It's fast, it's very simple. And what it is, it's great for student interaction as well, because what you can do now is repeat the activity, put them in points, put them in teams, is repeat the activity, and now get one of the students to come up and take out one of the words. They're now the teacher. They love to be the teacher, and then they can present the words to the students themselves. So give the students the flashcards, let them hold them, let them pretend that they are the teacher, and they'll have a really nice time practicing the vocabulary in that manner. Okay, so those are my three kind of go-to activities for using flashcards at this level. And as I said, you can use these activities, these ideas with any level. I find that with the magic eyes, the activity where the words are, the pictures are removed and they have to drill the words to a non-existing picture, that with adult learners, they often find this a bit more challenging. For some reason, younger learners have a much better short-term memory span than adults. That's why they'll always beat you at those memory games. I think it's called Kim's game or a Pellmanism, where you have to turn over the picture and turn over the word and try to find a match. Often students will beat the teacher very easily in these activities. Okay, so 3 activities to present vocabulary. So what I'm going to do now is move on in my lesson plan to actually do some categorization activities. So if you remember in the student's book, you can see that the students in their notebooks will now do this activity. So they can write columns in their notebooks, has got arms and legs or hasn't got arms and legs. And this is a nice activity to do because hopefully the lesson at this stage has become very lively and very, students might even be standing up when they're doing the vocabulary drilling, get the air in their lungs. So there's going to be a certain amount of energy has been used. So now let's calm the students down and do something in our notebooks, all right, and manage that classroom effectively. You can then elicit some adjectives that might describe the animals, all right? So we've got very simple adjectives for this level. We've got fast, big, dangerous, and heavy. And then obviously you can elicit the opposites. All right, and then what the students can do is select a pair of adjectives, whichever one they want to. You can give them a choice. You can say, you can choose one of these, maybe do the first one together, the fast and the slow, and then categorize them in that manner. So you can have them in 2 lines, 2 columns, like you would do in the student's book. They've chosen the adjectives that they want to use, and they can write the animals in the columns. And you might argue that a penguin is quite slow. Well, it is when it's on the land, but in the water, it's super fast. And similar to a crab on the land, very, very fast. If you ever walked along a beach and seen those crabs diving into their little holes on the beach, they're super fast, but in the sea, not so much. But you can encourage that. You can encourage that argument. What you can also do is have them on a climb. So where you've got fast on one end, slow on the other, and they have to put each individual animal ranked on a climb going from the fastest to the slowest. And this would be particularly useful if you are teaching superlative adjectives and comparative adjectives. It will, these climbs are really great ways to show that. So what these activities do when you categorize is they help the students with critical thinking skills. Categorization, if you remember or if you've seen Bloom's taxonomy of higher order thinking skills, there's a triangle, right? And at the top is create, and at the bottom is remember. With these flashcard activities, we're basically looking at remember and understand, very lower order thinking skills. But now we've moved it to a bit of a higher order thinking skills of categorization and ranking. All right, so we're building not only their levels of vocabulary, but their thinking skills as well, which is really, really cool and really important. So moving on into the discussion, let me ask this question to you all. What other activities could you use with these vocabulary items to really help your students with their higher order thinking skills or their critical thinking skills when it comes to these words and animals in the sea?
Yes. So another question for you. When it comes to develop critical thinking or higher order thinking skills, I think one teacher has mentioned a little bit earlier, right? Do you have any other like examples or activities you could use to develop students' thinking skills here, like just like the categorization and also the ranking activities? Yeah, feel free to drop your ideas in the chat.
I like that one, Rosnita. See animals that learners want or don't want to touch, because that's really interesting, especially when it comes to the idea of touching. Then there might be an animal that they like, but they don't particularly want to touch the item, the animal, because of the way it might feel. I love that one. Seen and never seen. Matching games, Mohammed. Love that. Riddles. That's a different one. Thank you. Any more, guys? Role playing about the action. Gladys, yeah, I'm glad you said that, because Dell very much did there, for good reason, dwell on creative thinking. But also, regardless of that, what we're trying to do now is put all of these words we've learned through vocab drilling into some kind of context. So all of these ideas are fantastic. Maybe they don't create some kind of critical thinking, but they're still contextualizing these words into some given structure, which allows your students to walk away and use them effectively.
Yeah, and the teacher mentioned about putting words together to complete a sentence. Yeah, and also which animals can live on land and in the sea. Yeah, it's like more about Cleo, right? Science. And I also have ideas about like you can also compare these animals to do an activity called the odd one out, because sometimes it can be really creative to ask the students to compare like three animals together and to pick the odd one out. Yeah, they will come up with their own ideas why this is the odd one to, yeah, practice their higher order or critical thinking skills. Which one is dangerous and why? Yeah, to ask them to explain. And the puzzle games from Maya as well. Yes, I think in terms of higher order thinking skills, we can look at Bloom's taxonomy to think about what thinking skills we would want to focus on for that activity. Would we want them to evaluate whether they like it or don't like it, whether it's dangerous or not dangerous, or we want them to like analyze, to compare and contrast. Yeah, depending on that thinking skills, you could always design some activities to do and to, yeah, help your students practice that kind of thinking skills. Okay, now let's move on to the next activity.
So what we're going to do now is look at the picture, ask and answer. So you'll see that this activity is introducing the concept of the plurals. So how many penguins can you see? I can see 2 penguins. Now, we can do this in 2 ways. I might be thinking, well, I need to teach them the plural forms first and then get them to do the activity. So I'll practice and then get them to do the activity. So using a PPP approach, a presentation of the plurals, practice of the plurals, and then this activity is the production. Or being a more experienced teacher, I might use a test, teach, test approach. So I might just get them to do the activity, to look at the picture and ask and answer. How many penguins are there? How many seahorses are there? I can see 2 seahorses. Oh, sorry, no, I can see 4 seahorses. And then as a teacher, while the students are doing the activity, I am monitoring and I'm noting down any mistakes that they make. And then I'm going to correct the mistakes and then we'll do the activity again. So test the activity, teach the activity, and then test it again and repeat. So I could do this in 2 ways, but either way, I'm going to have to do some teaching of the plurals. Okay, so depending on how you want to do it, test, teach, test, present, practice, produce, PPP, it's up to you. But for me, I like the test, teach, test. Let's go to the stage where now we need to actually point out the plural forms. So if I just share my PowerPoint. So on the board, again, elicit the animals. Maybe I'll use my flashcards and I'll get the correct spellings up. All right, so I'll get the students maybe to spell the words. And we'll have a list of animals on the board on the left-hand side. We could do this as a spelling race, as I said. You could do this just by eliciting from students or getting one student to come up. You could do it as a hot seat activity where you show the animal to the class and one student can't see it and they have to then describe the animal and then that student has to write on the board what the animal is. However you want to do it, you get the animals on the board written, so they have a written record. And the students will copy this into their notebooks and then you elicit the plural forms. So most of them are actually regular. You can see, you just add an S to make it a plural. We've got the article here to indicate that it's singular, and then the number. And the number doesn't refer to the picture, it's just there to indicate that it's now a plural. There are 2 crabs. Seahorses, sharks, eels, whales, penguins are all regular. But then we get into jellyfish. Now, this is a bit more difficult because jellyfish is simply jellyfish. We can pluralize jellyfishes, but we only do that when the species are different. All right. So you might have a Portuguese man-o-war, which is a type of jellyfish. You might have a box jellyfish. And then you might have, I can't remember the name of it, but those big fat ones that you see on the beach. You might have one of those. If you've got those three, then we can say there are three jellyfishes because they're different species. Similar to fish. If you have a grouper, a snapper, and a shark, for example, you can say there are three fishes. But you can't do that, or you're not supposed to do that. If you have three grouper, you say three fish. Now, I'm confusing myself. So imagine that you're doing this with your students who are all grade 3. So we just need to give them this record and tell them what it is. Octopuses is a little bit different. Octopuses, because you need to add an ES, and then whales and dolphins. So there's a couple of words there that the students might not be familiar with, and this is what you're going to be listening out for. You're also going to be listening out just to make sure that they do use the S and pluralize it. So after presenting this, they've written this down, they've got a written record, so it's kind of hopefully cemented, and they've got something to read, and then you can do the activity. Now, when I go back to this activity, which we have here, which we have, that's the categorization. Can I make this one big? Yes. Okay, so look at the picture, ask and answer, how many penguins can you see? You give those instructions to the students, they're not going to do it. All right, maybe one or two of the stronger ones would, but they're certainly, most of them would have a challenge. They wouldn't know what to do. So what you need to do is model the activity. So you model it yourself as a teacher. You pretend to be, you are the teacher, then you pretend to be a student, and you have the conversation yourself. Then you bring one student to the front of the class, and you do the activity again. How many penguins can you see? The student says, I can see 2 penguins. How many sharks can you see? I can see. And the student will answer. Okay. And you do this, then get another student up, and you do it with the same, with another student, and then another student, you practice. Then you get 2 students up. One of them asks the question, one of them answers. You model it. 2 more come up. You model it. Make sure you model so that everybody is aware of what they're expected to do. And at that point, you can then throw it out to the learners to work together in pairs, and you're monitoring, you're going around monitoring, making sure that they're using those plural forms, that their pronunciation of the words is correct. And anytime you hear a mistake, particularly the plural forms, you can now just point to their book. So you're not correcting them directly, you're asking them to correct themselves. It's a really nice way to make students feel safe, that they're, that they're not being picked on or not being corrected in front of all their friends, so they don't feel embarrassed. Just point to the book and go, oh, and oh, okay, yes, it's a jellyfish, not jellyfishes, something along those lines. Okay, let's finish the lesson now, and we'll have a look at this song. Now, with my lesson, I'm going to just play this song to the students. It's a really cool song, Goodbye Big Shark, but I'm just going to play it to my learners, and I'm going to get them to do some actions. I'm going to do a bit of TPR. So with any of the words that can be, used as an action, such as octopuses, swimming, hungry, and a shark, dinner, you could, same as hungry, I suppose. It depends how you want to do it. But assign an action and get the students maybe to come up with their own actions, and then play the song. When they hear the word, they act out the activity. Now, what's cool about this song, and I'll play this to you, I just need to stop sharing so that I can share my sound. So have a listen to the song. and tell me what you notice about the song. I can play the song actually with captions as well if I want to, but we have the song right here, so it's not necessary to do that.
Goodbye, big shark.
Two pink octopuses swimming together. Along comes a hungry shark looking for his dinner. Hi, pink octopuses, swim, swim away. Goodbye, big shark, until another day.
Okay, I won't play all the song for you, but you can see the song's really nice at the start. Well, you tell me, actually, what do you notice about the song? What's not what's unusual, what's cool about the song and about using songs with your students? I'll let you discuss that for a moment.
Yes. What did you notice about the special like parts of this song? What makes the song maybe more engaging or more interesting for young learners at this age group? Yeah, think about what you have just listened to. And while teachers are typing the ideas, actually, we just got a question from, I think, let me check, teacher Rosinta about how to explain why fish is different in the plural form without, like, instead of saying it is what it is, you remember it. What would you do, Blue, if students have questions about why fish is different from other plural like forms? What would you say?
Well, I would pretty much echo what you wrote in your response, Super.
Yeah.
Language is flexible. Language has a number of rules which go against the rule.
Yeah.
So it just, honestly, I think Rosnita hit the nail on the head when she said it is what it is. Of course, you're not going to explain it in that way to a student, but in the reality, it is what it is. And sometimes there's exceptions to what we consider the rule, and sometimes there's a lot of exceptions to the rule itself. So it's one of those, it really is, where you just have to make it clear that, hey, language is flexible. You yourself have to be flexible when it comes to learning it.
Yeah. I was told like it is what it is when I was learning English, and I always question like my teachers if it like there is an exception. But if the teachers tell me at the beginning and give me a flexible mindset about learning a new language, I think that will be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So
very good point, Super. Like I've had a number of students where I've explained something like a grammar rule or something, and they've gone, how about this? And I've explained it, and they've come back with, so it just is? And I'm like, yeah. And it's amazing how many students look back at you with that dumbfounded, unconvinced look of, But it is what it is sometimes. Interesting, guys, in there, I'd like to know your thoughts about the song itself as well, the uniqueness, but also the fact that whilst some are irregular with that ES, but what about the pronunciation as well? How would you go about the fact that octopus singular already ends with that S sound, so it becomes an is, doesn't it? Seahorse, seahorses. So there's another layer there to how you might get that across to your students or expose them to it and allow them to play detective and give them the plural, seahorses, compared to the plural, eels. Can they hear a difference? Can I identify the difference? And then maybe play detective with the grammar itself. And they find that clue of the fact that horse, singular, ends with an S sound. So somehow to make it plural, the sound itself changes. So yeah, grammar detectives, it's a great way to go about identifying the differences.
yeah,
Got
and
some
the
good
song.
answers there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that one from Quinn? Students keep singing with the hint of 4, 5, 6. That's an interesting. The plurals there as well. Yeah. So let's go back to Del, see if he can reveal the answer that he has on the tip of his tongue.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wonder if you noticed that the song starts off very nice rhythm, very easy to follow. Two pink octopuses swimming together, very easy to follow. But then when the shark is introduced, the song speeds up. It gets very fast, indicating there's danger. So these non-linguistic clues to what's going on in the song are really cool. I really love that that idea that the music, the tempo of the music is used to bring about some kind of understanding of what's happening in the song. They then move on to another verse and a chorus. And what the students now do, if we think about those higher order thinking skills, is they have to create then the next two verses, which is really cool. I really like that idea that the students are working together possibly and doing some create activities, some higher order thinking skills activities. All right, well, I've finished my lesson now. I hope you've got lots of useful ideas. Blue and Super will put the, excuse me, my voice is going now. Blue and Super will put the lesson plan into the chat along with the flashcards. And I hope that you found it useful. And I will see you again at the next Lesson Plan Masterclass or ELT Time or ELT Time Plus or debate. We've got loads of stuff going on this year. So thank you for participating. Thank you for being a member of this community and see you again soon. Take it away, Blue and Super. Thank you so much. Bye.
Cheers, Del. That was as good as you being here live. So yeah, as you can see, Super has just shared with you the flashcards and the lesson plan. So thank you very much for that, Super. In the meantime, when you are downloading them, again, feel free to leave your feedback with us. Scan that QR code, and in the chat, I'll also share with you if you just want to click on the link. But again, as I've repeated throughout the weeks, your feedback is much appreciated, especially when it comes to the direction you'd like these sessions to take. It's all about you at the end of the day, isn't it? We are here to cater for your needs, and you're going to be interested if we give you what you want. So feel free to let us know what that is. Super, anything to add?
Yes, and thank you so much for all the great ideas in the chat box. I think what we get started with this lesson planning idea is just to bring teachers' ideas together, and we as a community, as a group, to plan lessons together and help each other. So I really, really like this new format of the masterclass lesson plan masterclasses. Yeah, we are all the masters, I believe.
Yeah, and Super hit a good point there, said new. This is an idea that's in its infancy. And we at Macmillan, Super and I and Del thinking, well, it could work, it could not work. But the idea of actually walking you through a specific lesson and sort of layering it, but also most importantly, guys, getting your information back, your ideas back. It's really helpful. And I think together, whether you like that idea or have a different suggestion, it's a nice way for us to work together and evolve this lesson plan masterclass moving forward. So have a look at any Macmillan education course books and content that you use, and maybe in the feedback, you can let us know what you use or a particular lesson you struggle with, and maybe that can be implemented at a later date. All right. I don't know if that's my internet that's frozen or something, but we are all done here. I'm going to keep the feedback QR code on the screen for you. But from myself, and I'm sure Super will say some goodbye words, but thank you for hanging out with us today.
Yes, and the recording and the certificate will be sent to you by email in the next coming week, so stay tuned for that. If you would like to follow us and join more of our webinars and ELT and debate and lesson plan masterclasses, don't forget to follow us on Macmillan Facebook and also WeChat. And also, if you want to have a look at the lesson we used for this lesson planning, it's from Academy Stars 2nd edition, and the link is in the chat box, and you can go and download some sample units for reference. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you very soon in the coming webinars and sessions. Have a good night and see you very soon. Bye-bye. Yes, Rosinta, we will extend your gratitude to Del as well. Yeah, he's coming back soon.